How's it going out there, YouTuber? Cyberneticshark here with another new movie review for you. So let's get right into this review and see what I saw. The other day, I had the chance of checking out a new CGI animation kind of kids film. And this particular film I thought was actually really decent for what a lot of the critics were saying. I was really surprised because I thought it was a lot better than what the critics were saying, and I found it super hilarious and just super entertaining. And that is the film, The Emoji Movie. Now, The Emoji Movie is actually a really fantastic film. I was really impressed by it, thought it was really funny, and I just loved all the voice cast that was involved. Now, this film was actually directed by a gentleman named Tony Leonidas. Now, Tony has done a few other films. He's actually directed a couple other films, but he's done a lot of voiceover work over the years. But the other couple movies that he's directed are such ones as one of them is a really fantastic, sequel that was just as good as the first film and just a really fun animated film. And that is the film Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch, which was a really fantastic cartoon series. Just a really fun movie, really well directed. I thought he did a great job with it, made it super funny, lots of great one-liners in that film. Just really good animation too as well, and all the voice cast was really awesome too. I really enjoyed what the voice cast did, and they really brought to life Stitch and Lilo and all the characters that were involved. Another movie that Tony Leonidas directed was another great film that I thought was really fun, really entertaining, super silly and funny, and just a really good film. And that is the film Igor, which was a really good film. Really state of the art for its time. It was a different type of CGI looking film. It had a lot of grit to it, but a really fun story. It was very interesting seeing a life through Igor's eyes and just what he had to deal with, and that he actually was really smart and had a lot more intelligence than Dr. Frankenstein did. And it just was a really awesome CGI cartoon film. And I thought he did a really good job of directing it. Really great voice talent in the films, and just a really funny film. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. It's worth the watch. Really funny. Now, this movie has an all-star cast. Really awesome cast. Really great voiceover work in it. And just really awesome people. Now, this film, we can start off with an awesome actor that was on a really great show on HBO called Silicon Valley. And that is Mr. Actor T.J. Miller. Now, T.J. Miller has been in a slew of films over the last decade or so. A lot of them super funny roles. Just a really distinct voice and just really funny. A couple that I really enjoyed him in were such films as the Disney animated CGI film that came out about 2 years ago. And that is the film Big Hero 6. Now, Big Hero 6 was based off of a Asian comic, I believe, if I remember correctly. But it was a really awesome idea behind it. Just designing this creature, the Betamax, and having it as kind of like your personal helper. And then the whole idea behind battle robots and just this whole team that's battling supervillains. It just was a really awesome concept. And T.J. Miller's character was really awesome, and I really enjoyed his character. He was super funny, super hilarious, brought the characters to life, made it super hilarious, and his voice was so distinct you could not know it was him. And you're just like, every time he popped up, and I was like, T.J. Miller! And he was super hilarious in it. I really enjoyed him in that, and I loved his voiceover work in that film. Another great film that T.J. Miller was in that I think he was fantastic in and thought was a really good role was a great comedy film that came out in 2010 that had Jay Baruchel in it and other a few big name stars at the time. And that is the film She Is Out of My League, which starred also Alice Eve. Now, this movie is just super hilarious. It was a great idea, these nerdy guys getting the hot chicks, and basically T.J. Miller plays one of Jay Baruchel's friends, and some of his one-liners in the film were just so stinking hilarious. I remember there was one line, and he goes and says it, and just Jay Baruchel's expression, you could tell maybe he was trying not to laugh when they filmed that scene, and you just start cracking up because it was such the most hilarious and perfectly timed line. And he just was so good in that film. He was super hilarious, had that kind of that emotion and kind of that support of a good best friend would have. And he just was so like sincere in the film too, and I absolutely loved him in it. Just a really fun film. If you haven't seen that film, it's so super funny. Great cast. Check it out. It's very funny, and also you get to see the sexy Alice Eve too, which is a plus. But in the awesome film Emoji movie, T.J. Miller plays the main character Meh, and or Gene as he's called, but he's supposed to be a Meh emoji character, and he just was super hilarious in it. I loved a lot of his lines that were in the film. Were super funny, just really well played. It was just a really funny role too, because like Gene's character is like so neurotic, but has like all these impulses. And T.J. Miller did such a great job of like improvising and giving it life to his voice through that character and showing like these crazy things that are happening to Gene. I thought it was super hilarious and funny. Really hilarious. Really enjoyed it. I thought he was fantastic as the, Gene character, and he really brought Gene to life and gave us an awesome character. We also have another awesome actress that's in this film that is just fantastic, amazing, super hilarious, and pretty much every comedy role she's in, she's super funny. And that is Miss Anna Faris. Now, Anna Faris plays this character in the film that's supposed to be the princess emoji. But as the character you first are introduced to, she's a hacker emoji, supposedly. But at the same time, the character you just kind of fall in love with and really enjoy, and Anna Faris brings such a great voice and life to that. Now, Anna Faris we recognize from a slew of films. She's been on that show Mom for the while now that she's really known for. She was in the Scary Movies and so forth. But a couple films I really enjoyed her in were such films as with a giant ensemble cast of Emma Stone, Kate Dennings, Rumor Willis, and in other huge characters, Colin Hanks and so forth, is an awesome, funny film about a Playboy bunny. And that is the film The House Bunny, which was a really funny film. I loved Anna Faris as that character. She actually was, like, super sexy in the film, which I was really found interesting, especially compared to how she looked in the Scary Movies. You're like, I don't see Anna Faris as, like, a sex symbol, but in that film, she really was. She really looked like one of those Playboy bunnies. But at the same time, she was super hilarious in it. I loved her lines in the film. I thought she worked so well with everyone. And the whole film as a whole was just super funny. And I really enjoyed her in it. Another film she was in that I really enjoyed, and think it's a great comedy film. And it also stars the awesome Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart. And the film is called Just Friends, which is kind of like a rom-com comedy type of film. But at the same time, I loved Anna Faris' character in it because she plays like such this dumb blonde that's like a musician, but she really doesn't know how to handle reality. And you're just kind of like laughing at her character because she's like so stupid, but at the same time, she thinks she's like so smart. And you're just like, you could totally see just Anna Faris thinking about this role and like laughing to herself, trying to figure out how to play it. And I thought she did a beautiful and awesome, characterization of that character, and she made it so super funny and just made the film very funny. But in the Emoji movie, Anna Faris, like I said, her voice-over work for her character was really awesome. I really enjoyed it. You fell in love with her character. Her voice was very pleasant to listen to as that character. And she just did a really good job of expressing and doing a lot of great one-liners throughout the film. I think one of her best lines was in the movie where she's like talking to Gene, and she's like, yeah, if you tell anybody that I am a princess emoji, I will end you. And I just started cracking up so hard at that because just how she said it with like such force was like super funny, and Gene's face was just like priceless. And she just did such a great job of like conveying that like anger, telling him that, and I thought that was just really good and a really good testament to how good of a voiceover actor she is. Really funny character, and I really enjoyed her voiceover work in the film and making the film such a wonderful and funny film. We also have in the film as another main character that kind of hangs out with this duo, and that is Mr. James Corden. And so, everyone knows James Corden from his talk show on TV. But a couple films I really enjoyed him in and thought he was really funny in was another awesome CGI animated film, and he did a voiceover work in. And that is the film Trolls that came out in 2016. I really thought that film was super funny, and it was a really good and interesting take on the trolls. Especially if you're a kid of the 90s, trolls were really big during that time, getting the action figurines of them and stuff. They had the hair and you messed with it and stuff like that. And I thought that the movie itself was actually pretty funny to that. And they did a good job. And James Corden's character in the film was like super funny. He plays one of the evil trolls, and he gave it such an interesting, characterization, and he brought that character to life, and you just kind of couldn't laugh because you kind of imagined him in the voiceover studio kind of doing some of the expressions. And you're like, that's totally James Corden to the T, and you're just like, that is super hilarious. Really funny, character, and just a really funny movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But another awesome movie that James Corden was in that I really enjoyed was an awesome movie from 2010 that is based off of a children's book. And that is the film Gulliver's Travel that Jack Black starred in. And James Corden ends up being one of the characters in the Lilliput Land, where he's one of the little characters. And I thought he did a really good job of playing that character in it, because he's kind of like funny, but at the same time he's kind of like snooty, and you're just kind of like, what's going on with this character? What is he trying to bring him? But at the same time, you just kind of love him, and you're just like, he's super funny, and he was a real joy in the film. I know the film itself didn't do too well, but I thought with Jack Black's acting, Jason Segel's, and James Corden's, I thought it was a really well-rounded film and super funny. And just was a really fun job, and I really liked James Corden in it. He was really good. But in the awesome Emoji movie, he plays High Five, and his lines are some of the best in the whole movie. He is so hilarious as this High Five. Some of the lines just where he's like talking about like when he thinks he's like gonna die, and he's like, "Oh, the high five is gone." And that English accent of his, and you're just like, you cannot help but laugh because it just sounds so pathetic, but at the same time just so stinking funny. And he played the character so well. And I didn't really, I haven't seen a lot of things with James Corden, but this movie he was really just awesome in. I really liked him, and I really fell in love with that character too in the film, and thought he was a great addition to the cast, and played High Five to the T, and gave High Five such a great personality. Just a really well done role and really fun for the film. Another awesome actress that's in this film that plays one of the evil characters in the film is none other than an awesome comedian herself that was on SNL for many years. Had a little bit of a talk show / kind of live action comedy show, shortly, and that's Miss Maya Rudolph. Now, Maya Rudolph is just an awesome actress, I think. I think she's a great comedian and just a great asset to the, comedy world. Now, a couple films that she was in that I really enjoyed and think she's fantastic in are such films, of course, as the 2012 film Bridesmaid, where she plays kind of the main character. And she is super hilarious in that film. I love the scene where she walks in the street and she starts shitting in that dress. That was probably one of the best scenes in that whole movie. So stinking funny and hilarious. Probably one of the best scenes in the film. Just her character, when she's fighting Kristen Wiig towards the end, was super hilarious. And she's talking about how she loves how she's gotten her butthole bleached and stuff like that. That was absolutely hilarious too. Super hilarious just role. Really fantastic film. If you haven't seen Bridesmaid, one of the best Paul Feig movies ever. Gotta see it, people. So good. Another awesome film that she was in that I really enjoyed that's more of a dramedy and has a little bit of comedy element, but it's more about romance and drama. And that's a film with John Krasinski called Away We Go, which is a really fantastic film. I was really blown away by it when I watched it for the first time when it first came out on DVD. And I remember thinking that this was just a really heartfelt story, really well done, and both characters were just so endearing and you loved them. And Maya Rudolph's character in the film just was so amazing and wonderful. And I really enjoyed her character. And just, she did a really well done job and just made the film super awesome along with John Krasinski. But in Emoji Movie, she plays the smiley face or the happy face all the time. But she's actually an evil character, and she's like super hilarious at it. As soon as I heard the voice when she first started talking, I'm like, that's Maya Rudolph. That's Maya Rudolph. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, she was perfect choice for that character. Because her voice just has this quality to it where she plays a really good, like, evil, bad guy, kind of snooty type person. And she did that so well in Sisters, and she did the same thing in the Emoji Movie with this character. And you have a hard time not laughing because she's always smiling in the film. And so when she says some lines, you just start cracking up when I don't think they're supposed to be funny, but at the same time, you're like, you cannot help laughing because she's like smiling all the time. But at the same time, she just played that character to the T. Her voiceover was perfect to it, really made it a fantastic film. And she was a great addition as well to the awesome film, and just made it really fun and excellent. Another awesome actor that was involved with this film that does a voiceover is none other than Mr. Sir Patrick Stewart. Now, Patrick Stewart, we all recognize, of course, Jean-Luc Picard from the Star Trek Generation series. And also, he had a current show on Showtime, I believe, that was considered a big hit, too, and has just been around and has played Professor X in the X-Men films and so forth. But a couple movies I really liked him in and think are fantastic films are such films as the awesome 1994 film and the first of the Next Generation film series, Star Trek Generations, which was a fantastic first look into the old crew and the new crew working together in a film. Just a really awesome and excellent film, along with Patrick Stewart playing Jean-Luc Picard at his pitch-perfect perfection. He just really is Jean-Luc Picard, and he made that movie so enjoyable, along with William Shatner interacting with him, and then you had majority of these other characters from the original series and the Next Generation involved in the film, and just really well done film. I think it's definitely one of the best series of the Next Generation trilogy, and just a real fun film. And Patrick Stewart was just so awesome, and I really enjoyed him, thought he was fantastic, and he just made an awesome, excellent film, and really showed his acting chops. Another awesome film that he's in, that he plays a really fantastic bad guy, and it's a Mel Gibson, Julia Roberts film, and this film is called Conspiracy Theory, which is basically this movie about where Mel Gibson is basically like this guy that thinks that these conspiracies are always going on, and he's kind of like in hiding / kind of trying to figure out to keep away from these certain people that are trying to kill him, etc., etc., and Julia Roberts get involved. And Patrick Stewart plays the bad guy in the film. He just was so good at it. It was the first time I saw him as a bad guy, and he just played the character to the T. And it's almost along the lines of his Green Room bad guy character. And he just was so awesome as that bad guy. Some of his lines were just so sinister and just so well done. And once again, Patrick Stewart showed how good of an acting chops he is and how good he is at acting. And he just plays a really good bad guy. And the whole movie itself is just a really good film as well. And Patrick Stewart just added to that awesomeness of that film. But in the Emoji Movie, Mr. Patrick Stewart plays the poop emoji, which I found so stinking hilarious. And just his characterization and his voiceover work for it, even though it wasn't a huge part, was super hilarious and just super funny, and just made the movie even more enjoyable. Simply the fact that Patrick Stewart lent his voice to this movie. You're just you're watching it and you're like, all of a sudden you hear, and I am the poop emoji, and you're like, Patrick Stewart is the poop emoji? What? And I'm just like, I'm like, no way. And it's like, oh my god, they could have picked a better person to play the character. Super hilarious. Perfect casting for that character. And just pure fun. Super funny. I am so glad that they had him do that, and he just was such a great asset to this film. Made a great another addition to this awesome cast already. You also have a few other people that lent their voices to this movie, such as Christina Aguilera. She played the voice of the dance game. You also had the awesome, Tony Leonidas himself, the director, doing a voiceover in the film. Just a really fun cast. Jake T. Austin did the voice of the boy it's supposed to be the phone that has all the emojis on and stuff. It was just a really well casted film and really enjoyable. But if you're not familiar with what the Emoji movie is about, basically the premise of the story is that Gene, T.J. Miller's character, who is supposed to be a meh emoji, he doesn't act like a meh emoji, and so he feels like he's broken. And so when he goes for his first day of work and he messes up, basically he starts the cycle of where they're just going to delete him and basically destroy him or kill him and not use him anymore. So he ends up going on the run, and then the rest of the movie is basically about him trying to get himself back to being getting himself fixed and becoming the meh emoji so that he can be a part of the phone and that the phone not be all deleted because it's all funky and stuff. So it's a great premise, I thought. I thought it was a really funny premise. I can't believe they made a whole movie about emojis, but at the same time, I thought it was fantastic. It was really well done and just a really fun, entertaining cartoon animated CGI film. I was really impressed by it. I thought it was fantastic and fun. I thought it was good along the lines of like Rise of the Guardians and, Toy Story and, Boss Baby and films like that. I just think it's a fantastic film, and I'm sad that it got such bad reviews when it was such just a fun family, comedy slash kind of, film. Really enjoyable. Can't wait to add it to my collection because I definitely want to add this to my collection because it's just so funny. Really awesome, great voice cast, and just a really well done CGI movie that I feel was even funnier and better than the Boss Baby movie, and I enjoyed that one too. Just interesting film, and definitely worth watching. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, people. It's so funny, so awesome. It's on Netflix right now too, so check it out on Netflix. It's really awesome, people. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for liking, and also thank you for subscribing. And if this is your first time here, or if you've been here before and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss one of these awesome videos I do, or any of the awesome videos I do. And of course, please check out the awesome link down below about the awesome horror pack. Now, the horror pack is an awesome subscription service that comes right to your door every month of awesome horror movies. Now, you can either get it in DVD or Blu-ray format if you like. And each box comes with a limited edition you can't get anywhere else. So if that's something that interests you, check it out and let me know down in the comments. And if you do, I'll hook you up with a code for some couple bucks off your first box that you get. And always, keep your eyes up for any older, newer videos you might not have seen yet. And also, please check out that awesome app on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, Stardust. Now, especially if you love watching movie reviews, unboxing reviews, and stuff like that, what better app than to check this app out? Because it has 3 to 30-second little reviews on newer movies, older movies, or any movie you might like to see or have seen before and want to see what other people think. This awesome app is so awesome and free in both the Google and Apple Play Stores. So check it out, and if you do and you end up downloading it, go ahead and give me a follow, also at Cyberneticshark as well. And as always, catch you next one.